Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I am proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother, and that all Michael Jackson fans are fake Michael Jackson fans. They're really stupid. They're total losers, human beings as they are in their existence and shit. They're losers and shit, right? And the reason instantly you know a person is a fake Michael Jackson fan is when they defend Michael Jackson and say it's okay for him to sleep in beds with kids, okay? You can't defend Michael Jackson's pedophile actions and his pedophile behavior. Now, you can defend him against being a pedophile, but it's indefensible to claim that Michael Jackson didn't act like a pedophile, that Michael Jackson didn't behave like a pedophile. Yes, he did. He acted like a pedophile. He behaved like a pedophile. He sure as hell should have been investigated by the police to protect those children who are sleeping in his bed. An adult man who gets erections at night and shit. You can't have an adult man getting erections sleeping in a room with children. And this is the kind of thing like MATTSFTR. MATTSFTR defends Michael Jackson. He defends Michael Jackson being an adult man who gets in erections, who's sleeping in beds with children. MATTSFTR defends those actions. So I instantly know MATTSFTR is a fake fan. And not only is he a fake fan, he's defending pedophile behavior and actions, which means that he's probably a pedophile himself and shit, right? So this big thing had come up with Matt's friend Eric Blade. Matt now is accusing Eric Blade of being a pedophile. Okay, so look at, if Matt now is accusing Eric Blade of being a pedophile, well then that means he's been that way for years and years. All those years that Matt was best friends with him, all of those years, Eric was the same Blade, the same guy. We're not saying that he just turned into, it's like, he watched the new Disney fucking Cinderella movie and that turned him into a pedophile. It just happened. We're not saying that that's what happened. We're saying that this is who he is. The nature of this human being has been this way for a long fucking time. Every bit of which I've ever been able to see him, because as soon as I saw him and I saw the way that he acts and behaves, I instantly said, that dude's a pedophile. He's got pedophile behaviors, and look at who he's hanging out with. MATTSFTR, a guy who defends Michael Jackson's pedophile tendencies and behaviors. It's so easy to see the frauds that these motherfuckers are, right? Now, if I had a friend that turned out that I didn't know that he was ever a pedophile, that I had no understanding, but Matt knows that Eric Blade is like that, because there's this big joke thing, there's one of these things where I made the accusations, and I said that Eric made the statement, we all like what we like. I said he said that. And then Matt came out and clarified it. And they said, no, that's not what he said. Matt then did this. Matt clarified that statement because I had heard it wrong, because I only heard it one time, but I knew the meaning of what he was saying and stuff, right? So Matt came out and said, no, Eric didn't say we all want what we want. He said, no, that's not what he said. He said, what he said was, we all have our preferences. And then Matt went on to illustrate that the origins of that statement comes from some band that was playing at Comic Ping Pong. What do they call that pizza gate? Where the pizza plate, the Comic Ping Pong, was providing children for the Hollywood elite to be sexually abused. It's like some big pedophile ring and stuff, right? So that's what that story about that Comic Ping Pong, right? So there was and then when you look into it more, there's really bad stuff. Like the people that played there, the artwork that they show at Comic Ping Pong. I haven't studied much of it, but I have watched a few videos that have talked about it, right? So I know very little bit about it, but I know a little bit about it. But so that Comic Ping Pong place, there was a band that I guess played there that I guess shows pedophile tendencies, and during their concert at that place, they made a statement that says, we all have our preferences, and they say it in a certain way. I've never heard him say it, but Matt says it that way. When Matt says it that way, okay? So he's impersonating that band and stuff, right? So Matt was very familiar with this statement of a band that has pedophile tendencies, and they played at the Comic Ping Pong place, and they made a statement that said, we all have our preferences. And that turned into an inside joke between Matt and Eric Blade. That then was an inside joke between the two of them that they would say it like while they were on a live stream, because this is how I heard it. They were on Matt's live stream and Eric Blade was there and there was a bunch of under 18-year-old boys. And Eric Blade says, well, we all have our preferences. And it's like, well, that was an inside joke that he was talking with Matt because they're the two insiders and they're both getting off on their pedophile fantasies towards the underage crowd that Matt is attracting towards his live stream because he's doing Michael Jackson stuff, right? And he's fake and shit. It's totally fake. And it's so fake. So right there is what I want you to see is that Matt was participating in it too. Matt was participating in that inside joke with Eric Blake that we all have our preferences, which was a joke related to having sexual preferences of young boys, of being pedophile. That's what the joke was about. It was an inside joke that Matt and Eric Blade would laugh about. Now, Matt thinks he can come out and say, I had no idea that Eric Blade was a pedophile. I never had any idea. When I've been telling him this for a couple years, when I made a multi-video series about the accusation showing actually the tendencies of what the behavioral patterns or what actually are going on over and over, and then Matt came out and kept trying to defend it. And they said, oh, we're going to sue you, John. And then Eric Blades, I'm going to sue you. Could call me a pedophile. And Matt's like, yeah, sue him. Get him. Yeah, sue him. Get him. He's an asshole. You're not a pedophile, right? So all of that shit, right? And then Matt thinks he can come up here and say he was not aware of the pedophile allegations and the pedophile behavior of Eric Blade, who's openly a homosexual. It's blatantly obvious. You people just don't understand how easy. It's like, look at what kind of man, if you have a choice, right? It's like women. I don't want to bang some 60-year-old woman with a big fat ass who's old and ugly and shit. Would I prefer to bang some smoking hot 20-year-old with a tight little ass? Yeah. and a big part of that's just because the older people smell. They don't smell as good as like the younger people, right? So when you got pedophile behaviors like Eric Blade, what do you think? Do you think Eric Blade wants to fuck some 60-year-old, fat, hairy, stinky fucking man in the ass? Come on. He's got a big fat belly. He's been eating all day. His ass is full of fucking shit. You think he wants to fuck that dude? Or does he want to fuck some young, clean, tight little ass? That's what he's a sexual deviant. I knew he was a sexual deviant. And if you're a sexual deviant and if you have a choice, what is his choice? To bang the young little tight little ass or to bang some old ass, right? So it's just inevitable. It's inevitable that Eric Blade's sexual focus is going to turn towards pedophilia. It's inevitable. Now, like men and women, you can have a relationship and then that's your wife and she can get fat and ugly and shit, but you totally love her and shit, right? So you guys can have sexual relations and shit. But come on, are there really going to be men that are going to have that kind of affection towards each other? I'm not like being a man. It's like, dude, come on. There ain't going to be no man. Because first of all those men are sexual degenerates and they'll fuck anything. Like, do you think that men, when they get into a homosexual relationship, that they stop having sex with other men? Hell no. It's a big fucking orgy fest. They fuck everybody. That's what they do. They fuck everything. And then they want to put a code on them and say, oh, well, they're gay. They're not gay. They fuck anything. They'll fuck everything. So it's so easy to understand, to see, like I said, I instantly identified Eric Blade as being a pedophile and having that kind of tendencies. And then I've shown that MATTSFTR is participating in this behavior with him. And Matt shows those tendencies too. Like, for example, what I'm going to show right here. Now, look at it. If it was my best friend that I grew up with, and I had seen him have relationships with women, like I totally thought he was heterosexual, maybe even got married and shit, right? Maybe he got a kid, right? Let's say it's that guy grew up with, saw him have relationships, saw him get married, saw him have kids, I know his kids, and then somebody comes out and accuses that guy of being a pedophile. I might have a little bit of emotional reaction and say, no way, I've known this guy his whole life. There's no way, I've never seen anything like that. No fucking way, right? But if it's just some dude that I met a few years ago and shit, right? Some guy I've known for the past 10 years, not somebody I grew up with, not somebody I've seen his whole fucking life, just some dude I met and shit, right? At the time that MATTSFTR met Eric Blade was openly a homosexual, and Matt still traveled to the UK to go visit his homosexual friend. Like, you people think that Matt doesn't know that Eric was a pedophile? You gotta be stupid as fuck. Matt knows that Eric was a pedophile, or else they never would have had that inside joke about, well, we all have our preferences. That alone proves it. They knew. So, when Matt responds this way to the accusations about Eric being a pedophile, it shows you there's something wrong with Matt, because a man would not act this way. I can understand him being emotional if it was somebody he grew up with, his best friend, who he knows his wife and his kids. Like, okay, maybe at that point you can get emotional like that. But Matt getting emotional like this about Eric Blade, there's some other shit. Now I'd have to keep explaining, and I'm trying to make a short video here, but I have to keep explaining. But let's just play this little part.
So he tried to do the whole paw thing with Hunter again last week. And as a test,
I was in the wrong part.
Eric.
Okay, here, let's go back to the beginning. So I want you to see where he's all emotional.
Okay, just...
Wait, is he dead?
That's what I thought. The way he's getting so emotional, it's like, okay, well, shit, is he dead?
Matt.
Okay, I'll explain.
Matt, are you okay?
Okay, it's okay, I can do this.
And this is not an accusation he's never heard. He's heard this accusation being accused to him.
Basically,
And he's acting this way.
John was right about him.
That he's gay?
That he's a pedophile.
Oh.
What?
What? That fucking stupid, your name on here is Moonwalker Talk Tanya. I'm going to her page next to fucking trash her stupid ass and shit, right? And that bitch, I don't know what she looks like and shit, but I think she's older, and she's always sexually going after Joey. She's always talking, hey Joey, how are you doing? She's trying to seduce him and shit, right? With these sexual, because she knows he's a virgin, so she's trying to have like phone sex with him and shit, right? So she's going after Joey. She's a fucking sexual degenerate too and shit, right? But look at how Matt acted. Come on. Ridiculous. Oh, John was right. You're so dramatic, dude. You're fucking way too dramatic to ever be considered a man. You're not a man. There's something else wrong with you. You're homosexual, probably with pedophile tendencies, because you're definitely not an actual man, because I could just look at the way you fucking behaved right there at your friend. Now, did Matt stand up and say, fuck Eric, man. What a piece of shit. I'll fucking defend kids. No, he got all emotional. Oh, no, the man. And then he called him and cried, well, how could you do that? You were my best friend. Wah. I'm telling you, it's wrong. He's wrong. It's wrong. And I can keep explaining. If you want me to explain more and more and more, I'll keep explaining. Now, this page is called the MJ Innocent Podcast, and I believe the girl is Tanya Moonwalker. I don't know her. I just know her from Matt's page and shit, right? That's how... And I've probably seen this MJ Innocent Podcast name before, but I never knew it was... I thought it was some stupid little fucking Michael Jackson 12-year-old fucking fan. I thought it was one of those idiots. Come to find out it's some 40-year-old fucking woman and shit. Come on, what an idiot. How stupid can you be? Now watch it where she says she's going to challenge people. I'm going to counter her fucking attack, and you'll see that she will never come back and try and counter my fucking argument, because she can't do it. And instead of dealing with reality, she's going to denounce me and try and get people to attack me and get me removed from the community, because she can't deal with my fucking research and my fucking reality. She's a loser.
Now, obviously I've mentioned before that as Moonwalkers, we don't agree with each other on every single topic when it comes...
Real quick, see how she's shaking? She's got some kind of fucking medical problem and shit. Just so you know, it's shaking like that. That's not me. That's her. She's shaking. It's like, dude, okay, you shake like that and you're too stupid to know? Go buy a fucking tripod. Go buy a fucking tripod. Go buy something so you set your camera there so you don't have to hold it and have it shaking all the time. You see how I'm saying how stupid these fucking people are? God damn.
Comes to Michael Jackson, and sometimes it can get a little out of control. I've seen it happen before. But when it comes to the allegations, it's the haters that are incapable of having a civil discussion. Because the only thing they do is use proven lies, whether if it was decades, years, or even months ago, they use those lies from the media, the tabloids, and other haters, and even lies from the accusers' mouths.
Okay, so I'll get back to her and shit. But she says all they use is proven lies. Okay. And I'm a hater, right? Okay, so, and they only use, she says it's all lies. Okay, what part of what I'm doing here is a lie? How am I making up this, right? So, this is Michael Jackson talking after the police raided his house in Neverland Ranch in '93, the first pedophile allegations. And the police made him, he had to voluntarily submit to being strip searched and photographed, okay? That happened to him, right? Let's hear him talking about that.
I have been forced to submit to a dehumanizing and humiliating examination by the Santa Barbara County Sheriff Department and the Los Angeles Police Department earlier this week. They served a search warrant on me which allowed them to view and photograph my body, including my penis, my buttocks, my lower torso, thighs, and any other area that they wanted.
And any other area which they wanted. Okay, so I didn't make up any of that stuff. That's what Michael they forced him to submit to dehumanizing and humiliating. Like, so the worst thing, this is worse. And they could photograph any part they made him strip and photographed him. Any part of his body they wanted. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty dehumanizing fucking experience to have to go through that shit, right? And Michael, and it's clearly why this happened, because he's accused of being a pedophile. Why did this happen? Because he's spending time with children, sleeping in rooms with them, and he's being accused of being a pedophile. That's why all this happened. It's regardless of if the dad wants a payment and going to take a payment, that's regardless. The facts of the case is Michael's being accused of being a pedophile because he was having a relationship with a child. And he was accused of being a pedophile, and because of that, these things happened. That stuff all fucking happened. Now, it doesn't mean he's a pedophile, but he was damn sure well accused of it. And he was spending time with the kid. All that shit was real. None of that shit was made up. So just a quick one thing here. Now, does somebody have a right to call this man who's acting this way with a child that maybe that's a guy that's a pedophile? Maybe. Maybe. Yes, we absolutely have the right to question if this is a guy who never had any real relationships with women. It's not like he's been banging every fucking hot Hollywood fucking starlet. There's no record of that stuff. If it was that guy, then we could say, okay, he's living his innocence youth, he's being innocent. But we never saw that sexual relationship with the women and stuff, right? But who do you see him hanging on? Kids. And then when he talks about the kids more, he talks about sleeping with them.
But Michael, you're a 44-year-old man now. What do you get out of this? What do you get out of this?
He's 4. Yeah, I'm 4. I love, I think what they get from me, I get from them. I've said it many.
That part right there. I think what they get from me, I get from them. So Michael just told you that he's getting something for these children. He's not doing it out of the kindness of his heart. He's not doing this because the kindness of his heart that he just wants to help them. That's not what it's about. He just told you, I think what they get from me, I get from them. That there's some reason that Michael is doing this because he's getting some kind of personal fulfillment, some kind of pleasure from it. Again, we have a right now to ask if these are pedophile behaviors. Now look at the first allegation when you saw Michael Jackson, when he's saying he was being strip searched by the police, okay, 1993, right? But now this is much later, and Michael has already had 2 marriages, and now he's got 3 children. And we know that he's got all 3 children because it was in the Martin Bashir interview where he hung blanket over the edge of the balcony. That was in the Martin Bashir interview, right? So we know that at this time, Michael already has all 3 of his children. But is he getting all that personal affection and that attention from his children? Is he wanting to be part of his children's life, making sure that nothing interferes because he wants to protect his children as being a good father, as being a good human being? No, he's not doing that. Where are his children? His children are being raised by somebody else. He's paying somebody else to do that job that's his job, as being the father. He's not being a father. He's being a superstar. And he's hanging out and doing whatever he wants to do. And what he wants to do is hang out with children. Now, when he put himself in this position again, after he had already been submitted to the photographs from the police department, the dehumanizing and humiliating actions and what he had to take place and stuff, right? And as he said there, he said that they were allowed to photograph anything that they wanted. That means that Michael Jackson knows exactly what this experience of having his house raided, what it entails, right? But now he's got his own children, and now here he is again going on TV talking about sleeping in beds with kids, and he's holding his hands, and you people have all seen this interview, so I don't have to play everything. I would assume you guys have already seen all this stuff. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So Michael's here holding hands and saying he's sleeping in beds. Here he is putting himself in a vulnerable position again, which puts his children now in a vulnerable position. If Michael wants to put himself into that position, that's one thing. But once he put his children into that position, this is a whole nother ball game of what we're talking about. You can't claim Michael's a great father because Michael spent time with this kid instead of spending time with his own children, which his actions caused his house to be raided again. And now what was the experience of his children? They all had to be forced to go to see psychiatrists, and the psychiatrist would have had to say, is he touching you? Did he want you to play with children this way? Did he act this way? So his children now, instead of him being strip searched and having to go through that, he forced his children to go through that kind of interrogation and shit, right? What kind of father is this protecting his children? What kind of human being is this being protective of children's human rights? He's not showing any of those tendencies. The only actual behavioral pattern of what he's showing is that of being a pedophile. So we damn well have the right to accuse him of being a pedophile. And anybody out there that says, and that MJ innocent. Let me play that other part. Because I wanted to counter. She says this part. I wanted to counter that too.
Now, I'll give you a few examples. There were a few paid trolls I used to argue with, and when I would ask them to explain the Grand Canyon train station and subpoena lie, they would say, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, I do. Okay, so first of all, the train station not being built and the Grand Canyon trip, that I guess that didn't take place is what they're saying there, that the dates were wrong on that and stuff. That doesn't exclude the fact that Michael Jackson was sleeping in beds alone with those children, that Michael Jackson was taking those children across state lines and sleeping in hotel rooms with those children, with Wade Robson and James Safechuck. That's all proven. So I don't need to prove the fucking Grand Canyon and the train station allegations, because those allegations, even if they're false, it does not negate the fact that it's already proven that Michael has slept with these children in the bed, and Michael has taken them on trips around the world and slept in hotel rooms. That's all proven. So your thing about the train station and the Grand Canyon trip, that doesn't negate the fact that Michael had a relationship with these children, right? Okay, now, if Michael Jackson was sexually abusing these children, isn't it fair to say that their sense of reality and displacement of time and reality can be affected by that maybe these kids are damaged, and they're being damaged by very big superstar Michael Jackson, and they're being damaged by having sexual activity with this guy, and they're spending an enormous amount of time with him, taking trips and going places, and spending time at Neverland Ranch. Isn't it fair to say that a child at that time being forced to that kind of misbehaving behavioral patterns, if they're having sexual activity with Michael Jackson and they're doing all these things with Michael Jackson, isn't it safe to say that they could have become in their head that they're not sure about reality, that they're having a hard time grasping what was real and what was fantasy, because they are taking all these trips, and maybe you saw a movie where people took a trip to the Grand Canyon and then somehow it just morphed into it, because that's what would happen to a child who's being physically and sexually abused, mentally abused, that their sense of reality is being messed with. And so all you'd have to do is have a psychiatrist to say that this kind of behavior can take place, that once they're subjected to this behavior, they're not sure what's what's real anymore, and they have a hard time deciphering between the differences between some thought that they had in their head and the reality of the thing. And then what happens, they start just blending that all together, making up this alternative reality, because the reality of which they're living in is that they're being sexually abused by a gigantic superstar like Michael Jackson. So that's so easy for James Safechuck and Wade Robson to say that it's just not like me. I'm just giving you an example. I'm not trying to make the case here. I'm just giving you an example that this person here, Tanya, says, oh, they don't say nothing. They bullshit, not me. And then this is the problem, is that you won't say anything, Tanya. You can't do anything to come back against the allegations I make. You can't do anything to discredit my fucking understanding and my rationalizing what is taking place of these events and stuff, because everything I do is based around facts and evidence and shit, right? And there's no way that you can tell me that some kid that's being sexually abused couldn't have evolved into some kind of dysphoria and he's misillusioned or whatever the fucking words are and shit. So where he's not remembering actually the accounts right, and sometimes he's thinking, well, we did this. All he knows is that they were taking trips. They were those two kids, James Safechuck and Wade Robson. They know that they were spending time alone with Michael. Michael was taking them on trips, and that they were having all kinds of special events at Neverland Ranch. So for those lines to be blurred and for them not to think that this happened here or this happened, that's what would happen for a kid that was being sexually abused. So I would say that your argument that James Safechuck saying the thing about the train station and Wade Robson saying the thing about the Grand Canyon trip, I would say that goes to prove that they were being sexually abused, because now they're having a hard time dealing with reality in their mind because something is messing with them because they're out of place. I would say that goes to prove that they were being sexually abused. So suck on that, Tanya Moonwalker. You're a fucking loser. You're a total fucking idiot. You go hang out on the page with MATTSFTR and all his pedophile and homosexual activity that they openly are offering that to the children in the community of Michael Jackson's fans. You and all your friends and all fucking MATTSFTR, all you pedophiles and Eric Gayblade and your homosexuals like fucking Johnny Top J motherfucker, you're all fucking disgusting. You're all degenerates. You're all stupid, fake fan, fucking total losers. Not one of you stupid motherfuckers will ever deal with the reality of what I bring, because you're a fucking fraud.